Chapter 356, Strongly Overwhelmed. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Zhang Yuoquan's martial soul in his last lifetime had been much stronger than that of warriors at the completion of Heaven Realm. The 3 times he had summoned the Court of Gods had further improved his martial soul, and thus it was much stronger than Square Commandery Prince's. The more powerful the soul was, the more heaven and earth spiritual chi it could control, and the more formidable the power it demonstrated was. At this moment, Zhang Yuoquan only used 1/10 of the power of his martial soul. Using the heaven and earth spiritual chi, he formed into a 20-meter huge sword. Swoosh! The sword chopped down. The fire vortex was torn apart and it fell above the Square Commandery Prince's head. Before the sword cut down, the sword chi had already riven the ground below him, leaving a broken sword path. No! The Square Commandery Prince roared with dissatisfaction. The marvelous sword radiance swallowed the Square Commandery Prince and enveloped him in the light. After a while, the sword radiance vanished. Everyone looked over and found that the Square Commandery Prince's body of martial arts had been severed by the furious sword chi, and only a mangled body remained. A dominator in the martial arts, the once Commandery Prince, died in this way. In the distance, many warriors gasped. They were all shocked by Zhang Yuoquan's strike, could not help but tremble. They were familiar with the Square Commandery Prince. He was a powerful martial arts legend in the Heaven Realm, and he was even stronger than the top master of Yunwu Commandery. But even for a powerful person like this, there was no escape. And finally, he was killed by the sword of the 9th Prince. How mighty he was! His power has grown so much in the crowd. Lin Shenyu looked at Zhang Yuoquan, who was standing below the gate with speechless shock. Pulling Lin Ningshan out of the crowd, Lin Shenyu approached Zhang Yuoquan. With any hesitation, he knelt in front of Zhang Yuoquan. With a faint voice he cried and said, "Cousin, the people of the Lin clan were all killed by Zhang Tangai. Even our grandfather was not spared. Please avenge him." Lin Shenyu was cunning. Domestic affection was not actually important to him. The most important thing in his heart was to eliminate Zhang Tangai. If Zhang Tangai could not be killed, his future would be very difficult. At this time, who had the ability to kill Zhang Tangai? Of course, that person was Zhang Yuoquan. The power Zhang Yuoquan demonstrated just now was much more powerful than that of Zhang Tangai's. Lin Shenyu was also a man who was very good at judging the situation and making appropriate decisions. When Zhang Yuoquan was sick and weak, he would never stretch out his hand to help him. In fact, he would trample over him. However, after Zhang Yuoquan returned more powerful, he also didn't hesitate to close their distance again. Even if he had to kneel to Zhang Yuoquan, he wouldn't furrow his brows. You could not ask a really mean person for more. Lin Shenyu gazed at Lin Ningshan and said, "Ningshan, quickly kneel and beg our cousin. Only cousin has the power to avenge us now." Lin Ningshan sighed and gazed deeply at Zhang Yuoquan. She could not see his expression. She could only feel a great power of martial arts emanating from him, which was sharper than other martial arts legends. Not so long ago, this cousin had stood by her side, was concerned about her, cared for her, and loved her. But at that time she was too focused on chasing fame and had not attached much importance to him. Now, all that had gone with the wind. The man standing in front of her had become an undefeated man. At the urging of Lin Shenyu, Lin Ningshan finally knelt down. As she thought of the bodies of her family and the blood that flowed into the street, tears came to her eyes. She begged, "Cousin, please avenge grandfather. You know you were his favorite child." Zhang Yuoquan did not glance at Lin Shenyu and Lin Ningshan. He was staring at Zhang Tangai, who was standing on the gate. He said, "You don't need to beg me. I will definitely take revenge." Lin Shenyu felt happy. It was impossible for Zhang Tangai to escape. But he still feared that Zhang Yuoquan would not kill Zhang Tangai because their brotherhood. So he immediately said, "Cousin, you have to kill him. According to what I know, he is not the Commandery Prince's son, but a bastard of the Queen and another man." Lin Shenyu had been Zhang Tangai's servant, so he knew many of Zhang Tangai's secrets. However, what he just said was only a conjecture. He could not be sure whether Zhang Tangai was the son of the Yunwu Commandery Prince or not. He just said this to Zhang Yuoquan with an intention to irritate him, so that he could use Zhang Yuoquan's hand to completely destroy Zhang Tangai. However, He had not thought that Zhang Yuochen's eyes would suddenly become icy cold because of what he said. Clap. Zhang Yuochen slapped Lin Chenyu and sent him flying. A moment later he landed on the ground and tumbled like a dog. Zhang Yuochen and Zhang Shaxu did not want to expose the secret, because they wanted to retain dignity for the Yunwu Commandery Prince. But they did not expect for the scandal to be revealed by Lin Chenyu. How could Zhang Yuochen forgive him? Lin Chenyu did not only dishonor the Yunwu Commandery Prince but also trampled on his dignity. Zhang Yuochen would rather bear the notoriety of killing a brother than to release that secret. Zhang Yuochen's slap was extremely cruel and left a bloody handprint on Lin Chenyu's face. Even his cheekbones caved from the strike. Cousin, forgive me. I shouldn't have said this out loud. Lin Chenyu realized his fault and he immediately begged for mercy while endlessly kowtowing. After hearing what he said, Zhang Yuochen became more furious. He slapped Lin Chenyu again and sent him crashing down to the ground, stunned. Brother. Lin Ningshan rushed to Lin Chenyu and put out her finger to check his breath. She was relieved after feeling Lin Chenyu's breath, and she knew that Zhang Yuochen had spared her brother's life. Naturally, the other warriors heard what Lin Chenyu said earlier. Zhang Tangai is not the Yunwu Commandery Prince's son, is this for real? It's not a big deal. I guessed it long ago. Zhang Tangai killed all the members of the royal family as soon he became the Commandery Prince. It would be really strange if he was the son of the Yunwu Commandery Prince. Above the gate, Zhang Tangai was livid with rage. If he was not afraid of Zhang Yuochen, he would have rushed out to kill Lin Chenyu. But very quickly, he felt a cold gaze staring at him as if they wanted to kill him just by looking at him. It was Zhang Yuochen. What? Did he want to contend against the palace defensing array just by himself? Step by step, Zhang Yuochen walked toward the palace. Each step he took enhanced his momentum. Zhang Tangai, when you killed father, did you ever think there would be retribution? Ha ha. Zhang Yuochen, what are you? I don't need your remarks and criticisms. Since Zhang Tangai held a palace defensing array, he did not fear Zhang Yuochen at all. After seeing the distance between Zhang Yuochen and the palace gate was less than 33 meters, Zhang Tangai revealed his joy and immediately ordered array masters to start the attacking inscription of the palace defensing array. Swoosh. Driven by array masters, illusory images of spiritual chi poured from the formation, condensing into the giant body of a blue dragon. A single dragon claw, which was more than 20 meters long, lifted from the array and punched down toward Zhang Yuochen. The power of this attack had far exceeded the strongest power of the Square Commandery Prince. Only the array could demonstrate such formidable power. 9 folds of elephant power. Zhang Yuochen struck out 9 handprints in a row, which formed a giant palm that was over 20 meters long. It burst out in 9-fold power of attack. He contended with the palace defensing array with his own strength. Boom. The two forces collided. It seemed the entire palace trembled. Zhang Yuochen took a slight step back, then he rushed toward the array. Zhang Yuochen, you are killing yourself. The formation only used 1/10 of its strength. Now, it will activate all its power to completely crush you. Zhang Tangai was very confident of the array. Never mind a Zhang Yuochen, even a general warrior in the fish dragon realm would not prevail. You have no more chances. Releasing the space domain, Zhang Yuochen waved an arm and created a space crack. In a flash, a dark and deep crack appeared on the array, which was both like a mouth of a monster and an eye of hell. Swoosh. The space crack madly devoured the power of the array. When it vanished, a large hole that was 7 or 8 meters in diameter appeared on the palace defensing array. With a flash, Zhang Yuochen flew out of it and rushed into the array. After reaching the heaven realm, Zhang Yuochen's power of space had also increased a lot. He just displayed a little bit of its power. Bam! Zhang Yuochen struck out and broke the palace gate into pieces. After rushing through the gate, Zhang Yuochen took off and landed on the top of the palace. His eyes, like burning flames, were staring at Zhang Tangai and the queen, both of whom were not far away. At this moment, Zhang Tangai and the queen still looked stunned. They did not understand what had just happened. How can Zhang Yuochen have gotten through the barriers before the true power of the array erupted? A tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. The minister has already been killed by me. What last words do you need to say? Zhang Yuochen said. You actually killed him. When the queen saw Zhang Yuochen, She felt like the sky was falling down. Fear covered her eyes and she kept retreating. Swoosh! Without hesitation, Zhang Yuochen waved his hand. A sword chi flew out and passed through the neck of the queen, leaving a bloody line. A moment later, the queen's head flew up and a long bead of blood rushed from her neck. Blood spattered on Zhang Tanggai's face.